Hello, I'm Irina Baker. Welcome to the podcast I Am a Woman of Power, inspiring stories and practical tips on overcoming challenges by going within and connecting with your divine power. In addition, every interview has a complimentary companion podcast practice at radiantmastery.com/practice. To hear more inspiring stories and practical tips on overcoming your challenges by going within and connecting with your divine power, make sure to subscribe to this channel. If you visited my podcast before, you already know that usually I do interviews with women and sometimes men. But because of this situation right now that is happening in the world, I wanted, as a spiritual self awareness mentor, I wanted to share with you my experience and my opinion, professional opinion on the situation. A lot has been said and written, I'm sure, about the physical aspects of the coronavirus, how to protect yourselves, how to stay away from it, and so forth. But we have to look at the spiritual side of you. And so I would like to focus today in this video on spiritual aspects of it. So I'm going to explain what coronavirus and the pandemic actually means spiritually, where it comes from, and what we can do to protect ourselves, the nation, the world. And actually, I will also share with you my opinion on how we could stop all future pandemic situations and all kinds of calamities altogether. There is a solution, but people need to wake up and believe in it. My daughter and I went to Walmart the other day, and knowing how energy works, I was prepared with my spiritual protection. And yet, because I'm very sensitive to energy, even I was affected. On the outside, everything felt normal. People didn't have overflowing carts at that time yet, and they didn't race anywhere, and yet the fear was so palpable and so almost tangible that you can actually feel it and you can really experience it. And it's really smelled panic, anxiousness, fear. That energy was absolutely heavy, low vibrational energy. And long empty shells reminded me my life in the former Soviet Union more than 25 years ago. What's new to me? That was normal situation for me, so nothing was new here. Even though I was, as I said, protected by the energy, surrounded by energy protected, I still managed to get affected because the fear was so palpable and the panic was about to start. It might not be seen, but it could be felt. And of course, was the infamous coronavirus was to blame. The virus is a physical phenomenon. Therefore, the majority of people, of course, are concerned about the physical side of the virus because everybody is concerned about health, physical well-being, the food, and basic survival. The fear of death is the fear that humans experience when time comes to an epidemic like this one. And we all have the instinct to survive, and that's what we do over and over and over, actively surviving one tragedy after another, one calamity after another. If you lived on Earth longer than 10 years, it's hard not to notice that periodically a big catastrophe or a calamity happens. And actually, the epidemic is not the first one. We had them in 1918, 1930, 1957, 68, and 2009. And now it's 2020, and the epidemic is in full bloom right now. And it's not only epidemic like deadly virus, but also we will talk about earthquakes and all kinds of so-called acts of God, but they actually are not. I will discuss that as well. So hurricanes, wildfires, tsunami, you name it, all kinds of natural tragedies, and in addition to all man-made tragedies like Chernobyl in Russia and Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan as well. While Russian Bolsheviks were killing innocent, healthy people in 1918 after the bloody October 1917 revolution in Russia, meanwhile, the infamous Spanish flu was killing 50 million or killed 50 million people worldwide in 1918. Why does the world constantly experience tragedy after tragedy, event after event? Even now, with the pandemic, it's not only the virus, it's also in Utah, there earthquake of 5.7 magnitude happened with distractions at the airport, Walmart store, and some other places. And there are earthquakes happening in the ocean right now, and they're quite high magnitude. So why is that? That it's only virus right now is activated, but earthquakes as well. And I'm sure there could be something else that I am not aware of right this moment. So, and the world is constantly having a knee-jerk reaction. So the event happens and then we fight it, then we responding to it by containing, fighting it, isolating it, enduring it, and always surviving it. So right now, think about it. What are you doing right now? You are surviving the pandemic. Why is it that we can always be assured that after this event, when it ends, then there will be some time for rest, and then something else will happen? And why is it that this time the virus happened and then earthquakes happened? There was no even time of rest in between. So every year, I could say, somewhere on Earth, at some location, something major happens. And it's always and major negatives that people have to survive, people have to respond to and fight with. So it is my firm belief that the answer to all these questions does not lie in the physical world. All the answers to the physical problems, to the physical challenges, lie in the spiritual, lie in the internal world. And I'm going to give you my understanding and my belief why I'm saying it, why I'm making this statement. And maybe you already know that my podcast, I'm a Woman of Power, is exactly that, to show people, to prove to people that all the problems come from inside. We cannot forget inside, internal, connecting with the divine power to deal with the physical problem. Let me explain right now some spiritual principles that are at play right now. So the first one, you cannot serve two masters at the same time. I'm sure you've heard this saying. And there are two well-known masters in this world, actually, and only two, meaning the light and the dark. It is like being pregnant. You either are pregnant or you are not. You cannot be half pregnant or a little bit pregnant. And the same here, you either serve the light or you serve the darkness. Many attempt to do both, but it actually doesn't work this way. You either here or you there. You are either angry, afraid, panicking, sad, or whatever else negative you're feeling right now, or you are at peace and harmony at all times. Do we at large serve the light or the darkness? Unfortunately, on Earth at large, we do serve the darkness. Let's define the darkness. During our normal days, how many, meaning the restful days or the normal when calamity is not happening, how many times per day do you manage personally to start feeling negatively? You could be irritated, frustrated, get angry, get mad, maybe get livid at some point. Maybe you feel unhappy, sad. Some people feel depressed at all times. Maybe you feel envious or jealous or greedy or sad, or even you feel pain. Most likely, you're not even aware of your feelings. They come and go, they fluctuate like ocean waves. But they're there, and you experiencing them every day, every minute of the day. Your feelings are habitual and they respond to outside stimuli. And they are knee-jerk reactions. Negative feelings create the darkness. Humans' moods swing, feelings change, and we get triggered all the time. Road rage, impatience at the store, unhappy relationships, hating your job, you name it. And now coronavirus also evokes strong negative feelings in people. People think that their feelings are natural and no ramifications happen. Just you get mad 1 minute and then you calm down and it's totally fine, nothing happens. Well, those who think this way and believe that their feelings are nothing just by some 1 minute occurrence, they are sadly mistaken. Our feelings and not our thinking are our powerhouse. And let me repeat it, our feelings are our powerhouse. They either create the darkness or the light, and the choice is yours to make every day, every minute of the day, by choosing what feelings you're going to feel at any given moment. Every negative feeling contributes to the destruction of the body, the active destruction of the body. It pollutes the ethers. It affects others in a very negative way. And the most important thing, they don't disappear, they accumulate. So you think that you got mad and then you calm down and that's it. But actually, there is a huge, long-lasting effect of you being mad maybe last minute, yesterday, a month ago. They do not, this is a created energy and it doesn't disappear, it accumulates. Not any small feeling is innocent. It either produces darkness or it produces or creates the light. Every feeling has much stronger effect that we realize on us personally, on others who are around us, on the nation, and on the whole earth. Everyone contributes to the accumulation of the darkness or the light on the whole scope of the earth. We even create our reality in our sleep, because in our sleep we emit strong waves of energy based on how we feel deeply inside in the subconscious mind. So we feel every single moment of the day, and we are actually very ignorant about the state of our feelings. Negative feelings create the darkness. Happy, harmonious, peaceful feelings create the light. As simple as that. Anytime you don't feel harmonious and at peace, you actively create the darkness. Anytime you feel harmonious and at peace, you create the light. There is the law of the universe, the main law. Many people are not aware of it at all. So the main law of the universe is the law of love. And it states, or it means, that we must maintain loving feeling at all times. We must maintain harmony and peace in our feelings at all times. We have to obey this law. As we obey legal laws, as we obey rules and regulations imposed on us by the government or authorities, actually, who is the main authority on the whole earth and the universe? So this is the main law, and we do have to obey. Are we at large obedient to this law of the universe? Unfortunately, the answer is no. We, as humans, we are actually disobedient, actively disobedient to the law. And don't think it's something not really serious, because this is the law that every single human must obey. If you believe it, whether you believe it or not, that's the law. We were given a dominion over our thinking and feeling. Remember the old famous legend of Adam and Eve, the biblical story, where Adam was given dominion over the earth. Well, actually, the dominion was given to us over our thinking and feeling. And that means dominion means control. We have to exercise control over our thinking and feeling. And how many times a day you spoke angry words or fearful words or judgmental words about yourself, others, the coronavirus, the world at large, about anything and everything. People do not realize what power is inherent in us humans. And people do not realize how strongly feeling and thinking affect everything. And feeling is the powerhouse, and thinking follows the feeling. It's not the thinking that it's always taught, often taught, that create positive thinking and so forth. No, it's actually feeling. Feeling comes first, and then thinking follows the feeling. Do we at large maintain love, peace, and harmony at all times in our feeling and thinking? In other words, do we at large have total control over our feelings and thinking? The answer is unfortunate no, because we have no mastery attained over any thinking and feeling whatsoever. A lot of times we feel out of control, because when the feeling is angry or scared or in panic, it takes over and we feel out of control and hopeless. So at large, we do not have dominion over thinking and feeling. In fact, thinking and feeling have dominion over us. In summary, everything destructive is the darkness. All negative feelings and thinking is the darkness. Everything constructive and positive is the light. All feelings, all positive feelings and positive thinking are the light. Do you think that feeling scared and in panic because of the coronavirus is natural? These are all natural reactions of the human to the triggering situation. Well, they're only natural to and in the darkness. Because if you are in the light, if you're firmly living in the light, then it is natural in the light to feel positive, at peace, no matter what. And somebody might really disagree with me right now. It's okay, but people have to wake up to the point or to the realization that it is fear and anger. They're not natural. They are natural only to and in the darkness. If you look at the world generally around yourself, you will see how much darkness is in the world all around you. And the sad part is all this darkness is created by humans negative feelings, by humans feeling or being ignorant about the understanding of their power of feelings and thinking. And it's unwillingness of us humans to wake up and become obedient to the law of love. There is neither exception nor exemption to the law of love. While we are being ignorant and actively disobedient to the law of love, we will be suffering calamity after calamity after calamity, because we allow our human discord, our human creation of darkness, our human darkness to accumulate bigger and bigger and bigger size. As they say, the divine is not the respecter of persons. We either obey the law or we pay hefty penalty, like what's happening right now. The next spiritual principles: like produces like. And of course, like attracts like, but I'm going to talk about that like produces like. If you plant a cabbage seed in the soil, are you expecting to grow watermelon out of that cabbage seed? Of course not. You know better. So, but why is it that so many people do not realize that if they feel anger, panic, fear, anxiety, it will only produce the like. They think that if they keep feeling fearful and in panic, something will change and suddenly will be peace on earth. Well, watermelon will not grow out of the cabbage seed. The more fear we emit, the more fear we create, and fear is the darkness. Therefore, by feeling afraid, we create more and more darkness in the world. And coronavirus is very destructive and deadly, as we already know. So obviously, coronavirus is the deep, active darkness. Darkness has a specific low vibrational rate, and coronavirus is matching that rate. It's also low vibrational. It vibrates low, and it is qualified as evil or the darkness. By the way, to get practical tips and awareness shifting activities pertaining to this interview, go to radiantmastery.com/practice to access your complimentary companion podcast practice. I don't know if there is a conspiracy behind the madness. I don't know if actually specific individuals responsible for activating the virus or even creating the virus. I don't know if somebody right now is making huge, big money out of all suffering that it's the virus inflicted on people and economics and whole earth. And it doesn't matter. Why? Because the light of God never fails. And those criminals, if there are some criminals, they will be paying hefty penalty for what they've done because they are really working with the forces of the darkness. So why is it so not important? But what's important is why the virus became pandemic and how it is sustained. Why is it taking so long for the virus to continue rising up? To answer this question, we need to understand the global state of consciousness. If you put a seed in a fertile soil, then the seed will grow abundantly. If you put a seed in infertile soil, the seed will die and will never grow. Think about cancer. Cancer has been here for a while, claiming a lot of human lives. Why is it that two people are standing next to each other? One has cancer and the other one is free from cancer. What's the difference? The difference is in the environment, eternal environment. The cancer claimed the person whose environment was conducive for cancer to grow and thrive. The other person's body was not a fertile ground for cancer, so cancer had no chance to survive and left the body. What's the difference here? Every physical condition, every physical illness has its origin not in genes, not in the weather, not in the body, not in other humans. It has the internal state of feeling and thinking. The source is the emotions. The source is feeling and thinking. Back to the virus. The virus needed a soil, abundant, fertile soil to thrive and to continue being on the rise. So what's the soil? It's the emotional state of the humankind. It's the feeling and thinking that affects every single person's feeling and thinking that pitches in or collects together in a big accumulation of darkness. So big accumulation of darkness on earth is the very fertile soil for any calamity to strike, any virus to grow and thrive, because any negative event is the darkness. Any positive event is the light. So like produces like. Darkness produced virus. Darkness produced an earthquake that happened in Utah, 5.7 magnitude, destroying things. Why? And by the way, we think that these are the natural calamities, normal events, they are acts of God, but they actually are not. Because nature is benevolent. God would never create nature as having all kinds of tragedies and you name events, you name it. But actually, the nature suffers, and beings of elements and powers of nature suffer from our human accumulation because we affect our environment so powerfully with our negative feeling, especially, and negative thinking as the secondary. We affect the nature in a very negative way. And that's why all the hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and everything else and wildfires happen because of this accumulation of darkness that gets activated and needs to be cleared from the surface of the earth. The human darkness is responsible for the virus's existence, not nature, not somebody personally, but human darkness feeds the virus. Nothing is created out of nothing. Everything is a choice. Everything is the result of a choice. Darkness brings more darkness. Light brings more light. The virus was created by the darkness. So if the population on Earth at large would feel in harmony, at peace, and followed and obeyed the law of love, no virus could survive in such situation because vibration of the virus doesn't match the vibration of the light. Where light comes, there is no darkness. In fact, light comes, it doesn't fight the darkness. It doesn't resist the darkness. You enter a dark room, turn the switch, and light is on. And then suddenly darkness just disappeared. It doesn't fight. You don't have to fight with the darkness to bring in the light. You just turn the switch. The same with the spiritual light. Light comes, darkness does not have a chance because light is so much more powerful. But if there is no light or very little light and the darkness is big in accumulation, then the scale goes the opposite direction. Here is another principle, spiritual principle. Quantity turns into quality. This is my favorite principle. I have experienced it many, many, many times. Quantity turns into quality, meaning we start creating with our feelings, and we constantly create with our feelings and thinking, especially with the feelings. So we emit very negative vibration, very negative feelings. And first there's a little bit of darkness, then it grows and grows and grows, and it accumulates and accumulates and grows bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes a big blob or big amount, accumulated amount of darkness. So when the darkness accumulates, it gets activated or it materializes into a specific calamity, specific nature event, or virus or pandemic or anything that is negative in the nature that wants to destroy us humans. Because virus wants to destroy us. Earthquake is destructive. All negative events that we have to survive from are destructive. Therefore, and destruction is the vibration of the darkness, because darkness is destructive by nature, and darkness is actually the actual consciousness. It's the state of consciousness. So the earth at this time, sadly to say, is in a state of dark consciousness because of this constant emitting anger, 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 and anger, and fear, and all negative emotions. Why did the virus become pandemic? Power is in the numbers. That's another principle which I'm sure you are very familiar with. Power is in the numbers. If one person becomes angry over time, it's already is very, very destructive and very powerful in a destructive way. But imagine if instead of one person, whole population of Earth become panicked and afraid and mad and angry, then everything increases exponentially, and the result is something very huge and something is very destructive and negative. Like produces like. How does the virus grow? A virus is darkness, and darkness is an active state of destructive consciousness. And that consciousness of darkness, or the darkness itself, needs to feed. And darkness, what do you feed darkness with? You feed it with anger, fear, and all negative emotions, feelings. And the more feelings you emit, the bigger darkness becomes. Because darkness loves to eat, because it needs to eat to thrive. And it doesn't eat meat or it doesn't eat food that humans do, so it feeds off humans. Humans emit the feelings and darkness is thriving. So if all humans would start emitting love, light, and peace, then darkness would not have fertile soil to thrive, and it will die and disappear. And peace would be restored on Earth. By the way, to get practical tips and awareness shifting activities pertaining to this interview, go to radiantmastery.com/practice to access your complimentary companion podcast practice. Another principle that I mention so many times to people, and a lot of them don't understand or don't want to believe in it, and it's sad, because what you resist persists. What you resist persists. It's a spiritual principle, and if you start noticing, observing, you will see that it's exactly true. As you might have noticed, every time something bad happens, we humans rush into fighting with it, resisting with it, containing it, isolating it, all the negative feelings and all the negative actions, and surviving it. And that's exactly what people do on Earth actively at this moment. We all are actively resisting the virus. And what you resist persists. So if you resist the virus, it will grow. Please don't rush into the conclusion that I think we just have to give up and become victims to the virus. It's not completely not what I mean. So please stay with me and understand my point of view, because this is a spiritual point of view that comes from many years of experience and spiritual work. Fighting means aggression. It means resistance, anger, bullying, surviving. These are all low vibrational qualities. This is low vibrational activity, and vibration always has to match vibration. So when you engaged in a low vibrational activity, you'll be actually helping the darkness. This is what the darkness wants, to grow and thrive. Are you actively blaming virus? Are you blaming China? Are you blaming your country? Are you blaming people around you? Are you judging? Are you blaming the leader of your country? Are you being nasty right now, just plain nasty about everything? Are you being afraid? Are you panicking? Are you hoarding stuff because you are trying to survive no matter what is happening out there? Are you actively discussing the hardship? Are you upset, angry, scared? Are you in panic in general? These are all the signs of resistance. And if you have any or all of these feelings, you are actively resisting the virus. And remember, what you resist persists. So, having said all these gloomy things that I've said prior, what is the solution? Where is the solution to this crisis? How can we stop virus altogether? And how can we ensure that no more huge calamities will happen in the future? I know it's a long run, but we have to start somewhere. The virus is the darkness, as I said many, many times. The human anger, the human discord, the human creation. That's what the origin of the virus is. We as humans have to take responsibility. We must turn to the light because darkness will not kill the virus. Only the light can destroy the virus. If you think that we as puny humans could reach the permanent solution to the virus, to any situation whatsoever, you are deeply mistaken because there is the most powerful presence in the whole universe, and you know who it is. It's the I am presence. It's the divine presence, and it's God, it's Allah, it's whatever you want to call it, but I call it I am divine, I am presence. And this is the huge power in the universe that only the presence knows the right solution, why it happened, why is it happening right now, why the virus is on the rise, and what we need to do to change the situation to create permanent peace. We as humans have to stop generating the food for the darkness. We have to turn to light and start actively feeling love, peace, and harmony at all times, every minute of the day, no matter what the appearance world around us is suggesting to us. Because the appearance world is actually not real world. And of course, it takes a long time to explain. I'm not going into that explanation right now, but I just want to say that feeling angry, upset, and panicking is not the answer. It will not change the situation. It will escalate as it has already done. Obviously, I'm not an alien making a video about human emotions. I myself have had a fair share of feeling negatively and angry and destructive in the long past. But at the same time, for many years, I've been on a spiritual path. I've done a lot of training, experiencing healing, purification, you name it, on the spiritual path because I have been on a spiritual journey. And I do know that to take dominion back or control back over your feelings and thinking is not easy. It's easier said than done. It's not that easy to do. But I have a solution to suggest. Another spiritual principle is where your attention is, that is what you become. I will repeat it again. Where your attention is, that is what you become. Where your attention is at any given moment, that is your choice to serve the light or the darkness. Right now, the whole world's attention is on the virus and at all the hardships that we are experiencing. And that means we're serving the darkness and we're serving the virus. We have to turn the opposite way. Right now, we're looking down. We're looking down at the physical world, at the virus, at the darkness. We're looking down at the low vibrational rate of energy. Instead, we have to look up. We have to look up at the high vibration, at the higher life, and it's actually a light. It's the presence. It's the divine I am presence, God, that we have to look up to. The true master of the universe is love, and love can easily destroy any virus whatsoever. But we humans unfortunately have a free will, and if we continue to exercise our free will by feeling negatively, thus disobeying the law of love, then we have to pay the penalty. I truly admire the efforts of all medical personnel, all authorities who are doing everything possible to protect communities, to protect the nation, to protect the world. And I honor that and I bow to that. However, we cannot forget about the spiritual side of things. We cannot solve any problem, physical problem whatsoever, without turning to the spiritual side as well. They have to be both. First, spiritual side comes first, spiritual solution, and then physical will follow. And it will be easier, it will be less effortless, and it will be absolutely less deadly. And by the way, as an example of this principle, you can check out one of my interviews in my podcast, I'm a Woman of Power, Overcoming Challenges by Going Within and Connecting with Your Divine Inner Divine Power. One of the interviews I've done with Claudia Cooley. She's the best-selling author and a Get It Done coach. And she actually gave an example, not as difficult or big as virus, but she gave an example. During her hard times, she had to reach to her friends to find support, and she didn't find any. So check out this interview to see what she has done and where she found the right support that let her go through hard times in her family and actually thrive later. So that's a good interview that's a good example to confirm this principle. Where your attention is, that's what you become, and where actually we have to look for guidance and help first. To hear more inspiring stories and practical tips on overcoming your challenges by going within and connecting with your divine power, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Spiritual preparation must come first. The physical actions will follow. Because majority of the population on Earth subscribes to the belief that only physical is real, they all know only physical actions, but they don't pay attention to spiritual actions, or they think right now it's not the time. Well, that's a big mistake, because spiritual actions actually always must be first. Because think about it, who has the bigger picture? Who knows the bigger picture? Our puny human mind and intellect? Or it's the God who sees much bigger and knows much more than all of us together on the whole earth? If you are not Nostradamus incarnated, you do not know that you would not know that this coronavirus would strike in 2020. You wouldn't know right now. You don't know right now how long it will last. Nobody can predict how is it going to behave, where is it going, and how many lives is it going to claim still continually. And what else will happen? Like an earthquake, yes, we could predict a few days ahead that an earthquake is coming, but truly, how could you see the big picture? No, we humans cannot. Yet, every human on earth has their personal divine I am presence. And this is the personal divine I am presence who can comfort you, who can show you the way, who can guide you, and who can save us all. Every human is required to look up at divine guidance, to look up at divine presence and ask for the solution. Have you ever heard of call unto me and I answer with thee, and ask and you shall receive? Every human is obligated to obey the law of the universe, which is the law of love. And the law of love means we have to turn to the divine as well as keeping our feelings and thinking in harmony. I am a spiritual self-awareness mentor, and I do not subscribe to any religion. However, I actively use the prayers or the mantras that have withstood the test of time. So I'm going to suggest those to you right now, or you can absolutely take your own prayers and use them constantly. My point is, we all, personally and collectively, during these trying times, as well as the peaceful times, must keep our attention only up on the divine presence, not on hardships, not on the physical reality that is not real, but on the divine presence that is only real presence. We must ask God for the solution, for protection, and for peace on earth and freedom from the virus. And by the way, do you think that God didn't know that it was coming to earth? And please don't ask, where is God in this old stuff? Well, take responsibility, because this is our responsibility. And we do have to ask God to help us, but we have to take responsibility. Ask God, and you shall receive the answer. If you start saying out loud, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. And another one is peace, be still. These are short prayers. They're very effective. They've withstood the test of time. And I do not believe that they belong to one particular religion. They are words that was said by Jesus Christ, who is the actually ascended master. He doesn't belong to any religion whatsoever. He is the ascended life, ascended master. And if you use this, it's very simple. I am the resurrection and the life. And peace, be still. Do you think you will have time to be mad or angry? Do you think you will have time to utter judgmental and angry words at somebody? Because your mind and your mouth will be busy by pronouncing, by speaking out loud the most important words that you can say, because they will keep your attention on the divine. So this is how you switch your attention from your fear and panic to the divine that has all the answers. Just pronounce these simple prayers or use your own. Calmness creates more calmness and therefore more light. Peace creates more peace and therefore more light. Harmony creates more harmony and therefore more light. Harmony will never create the virus. Harmony will never create the earthquake. Peace will never create any deadly event whatsoever. To restore peace on earth and health on earth, we have to turn collectively to exercising our power by emitting peace, harmony, light, love, and serenity. We have to turn away our attention from anger, blame, judgment, and all the other negative emotions. And now time has come for personal actions. What can you do right now to make your life much easier, to protect yourself, protect your loved ones, and the whole world? First, start repeating as much as possible, as loud as possible. Commit every moment you can to this activity. I am the resurrection and the life. Peace, be still. And you can actually add, if you want, I am the resurrection and the life from coronavirus. Peace, be still on earth. The light of God never fails. That's another good one. The light forces move across the world and all the darkness disappears. Or you can say the light forces move across the earth and all coronavirus disappears. Whatever words you use, just make sure that this mantra is actually talking to God, not about the darkness, but turning to attention to God. So let me repeat again. I am the resurrection and the life from coronavirus. Peace be still on earth. The light of God never fails. The light forces move across the world and all darkness disappears. I am a victory over coronavirus. And I am, I don't know if you heard or not, but I am is actually the official name of God. So you are saying God is a victory over coronavirus. If you feel more comfortable to say God, just use God and say God is the victory over coronavirus. Or God is victory over the darkness. Or choose whatever mantra or prayer is appropriate. It feels good to you and it keeps your attention on light, love, and peace. And say it many, many times a day. Not puny 5 minutes a day and then be done with it. You need to do it continuously. If we are to be collectively victorious over the virus and all the calamities, we must first stop generating darkness by feeling, thinking, speaking, and acting negatively. We must feel harmonious and at peace at all times. We must exercise control over our feeling, thinking, and acting. Next, look up to divine presence at all times. We must ask divine presence for guidance and solution at any given situation. We have to listen to the divine guidance and get the answers. And we have to take physical actions according to the guidance. So it's not the way out. First, we rush into physical actions without listening anything, blindly, without knowing if we're doing it right or not, which has been a confirmation over and over. But actually, we listen to the divine guidance. The answers are provided because everybody has intuition, gut feeling, and we all are capable to hear divine. And then the physical actions will follow, and there will be a shortcut to the victory. And just a side note, do you think that divine guidance would rush you to the store and tell you to buy, to hoard all the toilet paper that became a phenomenon in the whole world? More personal action steps. In the morning, the first thing you do when you wake up, you turn your attention to your divine presence, God, and you ask, what do I need to do today, every minute of the day, to participate or to create peace on earth, to stop the virus? What is my part in it? And then, of course, listen to the divine guidance for the answers. Not everybody is involved personally in the rescue efforts and treating and helping the sick and doing all the rescue efforts, and yet every single one has the responsibility to participate and to help. Some might not physically, but spiritually it is everybody's responsibility. And it's also a responsibility to wake up and understand how much power we hold inside, and that we have a free will to choose the light or the dark. And if you feel determined and brave, here's another one for you to repeat many times a day out loud. I charge God's love into coronavirus to annihilate it from the earth forever. Or even better, I charge God's love into the darkness to annihilate the darkness from the earth forever. And let me repeat, if you are under the impression that all the events of nature, they are acts of God, no, God did not create them. God did not create earthquakes, and the nature did not create earthquakes just by itself. Nature gets disturbed by human darkness, by human accumulation of human discord via our negative feeling, thinking, and acting, via our distraction. So if we want to stop all future calamities, including the present one, we must turn away from creating distraction and turn back to constructive actions, constructive thinking, constructive feeling, and we must exercise strict obedience to the law of love. If this video resonates with you, please share it with as many people as possible. And we women, because it is a part of my podcast, I'm a woman of power. We women have to take charge and understand that so much inherent power lies within us, and that power is the divine power, the power that we have to tune, so we have to slow down, tune in, and connect with our divine power. So please share this video with many people as possible, because humans have to wake up to their divinity, and we have to take responsibility for our actions, our feelings, and our thinking. And if this video doesn't resonate with you, please refrain from any judgment, because it creates more darkness. And this is spirituality in practice. You have a choice. I am a woman of power, helping women to awaken to and connect with their inner divine power. Please slow down and tune in. Remember to get practical tips and awareness shifting activities pertaining to this interview. Go to radiantmastery.com/practice to access your complimentary companion podcast practice.